Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you don't know me, my name is Ali and in today's video I'm going to show you my entire card making process from start to finish, or at least the card making process I've been doing recently. If that sounds like it's up your street, then you're in the right place. A couple of months ago I'd had a really tough week, and when I have a tough week I like to do a really unnecessary organising project to really help my brain focus on something simple. That week my organising project was to take all of the scraps of paper in my craft room and organise them in a way that made it easy for me to use them. You probably have scraps like this in your craft room too. I had a lot of backgrounds, stamped images, stamped and fussy cut coloured images, die cuts, strips of paper, and what I did was organise them into these little pouches that I get from Wilko. They're really cheap. Once I had all these pieces sorted in a way that made sense for my brain, it made it really easy for me to make a bunch of cards, and I actually made all of the cards in this pile from leftover pieces from previous projects. I might stamp a sentiment here or die cut something there, but mostly all the backgrounds elements are all from my leftover pieces from previous projects where I didn't use something, or I stamped and coloured it in but didn't use it, or I die cut a leftover piece of paper because I thought, oh, that would look good as this later. And not only did this really help me on this day when I was doing this organising, it's really helped my card making creative process because I've been able to make a lot more cards in a lot less time and with a lot less stress. Sometimes when I sit down to create, I don't want to be thinking too much. I've often spent a long day working on complicated things, thinking up creative solutions to problems, and in my downtime that is not something that I necessarily want to do. Card making for me is a way to get away from a screen and not look at a monitor for a while and kind of get into that creative flow without having to look at a backlit screen with loads of text and numbers on it. So being able to be super free, almost as if I'm art journaling, is really, really therapeutic. If you've got a ton of bits lying around in your craft room that you don't know if you'll ever use, I really encourage you to do this. A, because it's so satisfying to see everything sorted into those little pouches, and B, because it will make you use your stuff more. I had hundreds of pieces of paper that were just lying around, and now I have a lot less. Something else that's important in this organising process, if you're not going to use it, don't hold on to it. You know, it's just a bit of paper at the end of the day. If you're not going to use it, recycle it. If you can't bear to recycle it, maybe gift it to somebody else that might use it. Even in the short time that I've been making cards, which is about 2 years now, my taste has changed so much that some of the supplies I bought when I first started are not really what I like anymore. And there's no shame in getting rid of them if that's the case. We all have friends or acquaintances or even people that we know online who are maybe starting out and could really do with those supplies to really get that practice in and learn about the hobby. And wouldn't it be so much better for those things you don't use to go to them instead? We all have too much stuff, and it is difficult to get rid of things sometimes. But I promise you, it is not helping you cluttering up your life. I've made quite a lot of cards this year during lockdown, but for a while I didn't make any, because making decisions felt too much like hard work. A lot of us spend all day long making decisions, whether that is how to fix a problem at work, which task to start with, who to email back first, what present to buy somebody for their birthday, what to have for dinner. There's so many different decisions we have to make during the day that sometimes we get to the end of the day and we don't want to make any more decisions, even if those decisions are to do with our hobbies or something that we really enjoy doing. I think this is one of the reasons I've really loved doing this during lockdown and why it's let me make so many cards. Instead of having my entire craft room as options, I just had these things in this bag to make cards with. And yeah, maybe I will go and stamp a sentiment, or I'll grab another piece of card from a pack that isn't in my scrap bag. And I don't confine myself to only using what's in the scrap bag if it's going to stifle my creativity. But sometimes having less options lets you be more creative than having more. And instead of feeling overwhelmed and like you can't do anything for fear of doing it wrong, using all my scraps has such a profound effect on me that I'm seriously considering going on an art and craft supply no-buy next year. Now I know that may shock some of you because basically all I post on my channel is art and craft hauls, but I really feel like this will be a way for me to use what I've got and really get to know my supplies and cut down on the overwhelm With a lot of my hobbies throughout my life, I've gone through a phase of being super into it and wanting to get all of the gear and all of the stuff and collect everything and, you know, find every supply and try everything. For a while I was really into makeup, and I now have such a massive makeup collection that I will never ever really use. In fact, while I still wear makeup sometimes, it's not to the same level that I did. All of the eyeshadow palettes, for example, that I've collected, I don't really use because I don't really wear eyeshadow and I'm not very good at it. Well, it pains me to say that, but it is true. And all of this stuff that I've collected over time is just sat there now, and I feel too guilty to really get rid of it because it's not really any use to anybody else, but it's not really any use to me, so it just sits in my house. And I think a lot of us are like that with our hobbies. You have to kind of get a rein on it and realise when you've got too much and kind of check yourself and say, oh, okay, maybe I don't need this other pack of coloured pencils, or maybe I don't need another sketchbook, or maybe I don't need another paper pad. Like, all the pattern papers are truly lovely, but how many pattern paper pads can you feasibly use in your lifetime? Probably not as many as you have in your craft room if you're anything like me. An exercise like this, where you use up what you already have, is so valuable to really appreciating what you own and what you already have, instead of, which I have been guilty of myself, don't get me wrong, spending so much time shopping and browsing for supplies when you could actually be spending that time creating and getting in that creative flow. Even though trying to get into that creative flow, actually getting to that point, can be really scary, it's much easier to sit on Amazon or eBay or CraftStash and look at supplies for 2 hours than it is to actually go to your craft room, sit down and start drawing or creating or making cards. It absolutely is. Like, don't get me wrong, that is the harder option, but isn't that why we do this? We're not supposed to be collecting craft supplies, even though that is a very joyful part of this hobby. That isn't why we have all of these supplies, is it? We have all of these supplies so we can create. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that, and it's all about the new and the excitement when you get a package in the post. And it is very addictive, trying new stuff and getting new stuff and building a collection. But what is a collection if you don't use it, if you don't find the value in those things to actually improve your life, and it's just stuff, it's just sat there gathering dust. And remember, none of these things that you create have to be perfect. They don't have to be the best card you ever made in your life. They don't have to be a piece of fine art. That's not what it's about. It's about the creative process, and it's about getting lost in it and enjoying yourself and really just making something that you enjoyed. You don't have to be proud of the finished result. That isn't, if you go online and look at people's handmade cards, yeah, they're all amazing. They're all absolutely beautiful, but you don't have to do that every time if you don't want to. Sometimes you just want to throw something together and just have something finished. It's okay to want to spend 2 hours on a card. It's okay to want to spend 5 hours on a card, but it's also okay to want to spend 20 minutes or 2 minutes even on a card. All of that is okay, and it's all, there's no wrong way to do it. And if you're really, really stuck in a rut, I would really suggest you grab some stuff from your scrapbox and see what you can make with it. Try and put it together and just let go and just be free about it. I find it really difficult I love the concept of art journaling, but for me that is not something I know how to do, and to kind of try and do that's just another thing for me to try and possibly fail at. You don't have to do art journaling to kind of get in that flow and create something a bit out there and wild. You can use what you have, if you do embroidery, if you do scrapbooking, if you do card making, if you draw, if you paint, you can take elements of one craft or discipline and move it over into your preferred discipline. That is totally okay. And I see this type of card making, where I use all of my scraps and leftover bits, as my kind of art journaling. Like, I don't necessarily send the cards to anyone. I just made it for me because I enjoyed it. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, please subscribe to my channel, because I make videos just like this and I have a new one every week. here on my channel for you to watch for free. And that is pretty awesome if I do say so myself. Please give this video a thumbs up and leave me a comment to tell me you enjoyed it. Have a great day and don't forget to be creative. Bye!